Here's a quick breakdown of how workflows and email automations work inside of Go High Level. So if you're just getting started with High Level or you're curious about all of the capabilities it has, this is the quick start guide for you. And of course, comment below with your specific questions, because I'm sure there's some sort of awesome thing that you want to build that I'm probably not going to cover. Hey, I'm Jason, faith-based entrepreneur, timestamps and resources below, including a link to a 30-day free trial of High Level. When you sign up via our link, you'll get all the automations I'm about to show you, as well as all of our funnel and course templates, along with a membership site and actually live workflow calls where we can strategize together to get your business off the ground or scale and grow using High Level. We have a bunch of AI tools and other cool features as well, so you can check that out via the top link in the description. So when it comes to building workflows in High Level, it can get really confusing really fast. So at the end of this guide, I'll show you how I use these two workflows, a workflow for new email signups and then a workflow for new customers. And this covers about 80 to 90% of what you're probably going to need to do with workflows if you're creating digital products, courses, or even community sites. But of course, they do have a lot of templates and a lot of integrations. So we'll briefly go through those first. So inside of Go High Level, you'll go to automations and it automatically takes you to workflows. You can see here that I'm just getting started with this account. And you can even create folders and get super organized, but we'll go over here and go ahead and click on create workflow, and then we can click select template. So when it comes to the different types of workflows you can create, they have 24 templates here ready to go. But I think there are really 5 that I think cover most types of businesses that would be using Go High Level. So the first type of workflow you're probably going to want to set up, and this is the one I'll show you in a moment, is something called a lead nurturing sequence. And so this is where someone goes to your website, maybe they fill out a contact form, they ask for a free offer or lead magnet, and of course you send it to them, and then you say, hey, if you like this free thing, you'll probably like all this other cool stuff I have to offer too. And so this is just a couple day sequence to essentially get someone to a sales page or potentially book a sales call with you. Now, the second type you're probably going to want to set up is one for new customers, right? So once someone purchases, you want to say, hey, thank you for purchasing, and then making sure they have access to everything that they need. And then, of course, asking for that oh so important testimonial. If there's one of the biggest mistakes I've made in my business is not asking for testimonials. I'm like a decade in and hardly have any. So that's something that I'm personally working on now. You might also want to set up a sequence for people who start the checkout process, but then don't actually finish. That's something else you can do with High Level. Now, if you are doing any sort of appointment booking, so that is you want to get people on the phone with you, High Level has you covered with a recipe for that. That's what they call their workflow templates. Now, something else I do want to point out that's really cool and advanced before we get into actually building, don't worry, we're actually going to build one from scratch, is you can actually use High Level to create workflows when someone comments on an Instagram or Facebook post or DMs you on Facebook and Instagram. So this is an example of an Instagram automation. You've probably seen those posts. It says, hey, comment below and I'll send you, the XYZ guide, or I'll send you the link. Well, obviously, those creators aren't sitting around staring at their phone waiting for someone to comment, right? They're using something like High Level to automatically send someone that link. And what's really cool, they're working on this, so I wouldn't say this is totally fleshed out yet, but you can also create chatbots with Go High Level and have those directly communicate with people inside of a Facebook DM or an Instagram DM. Now, I know there's a lot of pushback on this because a lot of people go, well, I don't want an AI bot pretending to be me. It's going to turn people off. And that's completely legitimate concern. And so with these types of workflows, you can actually just say in the message that this is our automated system, and then people don't feel like you're trying to dupe them with an AI chatbot. So that's just a quick, and I mean quick, overview of the different types of workflows you can put together and what you can do with High Level. Again, comment below if you have any questions. They have a bunch of integrations as well, which makes it even more confusing. But for now, we're going to start with how you would set up what I would call the basic 5. And that's going to be someone completes a form on your website or wants to book an appointment with you. They complete a purchase. Maybe they abandon a purchase. They have taken some sort of action that you want to work with, or they've sent you a DM on a comment or Instagram Facebook post. So the way workflows work is when you create a new one, actually, let me go back here. So you could just create one from scratch. I've loaded it up since I'm in the Philippines and sometimes the internet is slow here. So all you need to do to start a workflow is, of course, create a trigger. This is how we tell High Level to start the workflow. And of course, you have a ton of options. You can even come all the way down here. You can see that you have the ability to install what they call apps, so you can integrate with other solutions. Just a big asterisk here. This is where it costs money inside of workflow. So these integrations are essentially free to set up, but they're not free to use. You might pay a couple cents per every time you use the integration. And that's just because it costs money to have softwares to talk to each other. I mean, there's a reason Zapier is like $50 to $100 a month, right? So instead of using Zapier, you can just have your other apps integrated. But do keep in mind, these are paid. And if you've ever read any horror stories of people like, oh my gosh, I got charged $500 and I didn't know why, it's because they were using AI or they were using an integration and they just weren't keeping track of how much they were using that AI or integration. But here I'm going to use all of the free stuff because I think that's more than enough to get started. So let's say someone enters their name and email on your website and you want to send them some emails. So I'll show you how I use this one on the left here, or maybe it's the right because it's reversed, it's mirrored. I always get it wrong, to set up a trigger to start sending them some emails about our business. So what I'll do here is I'll just go ahead and search form. Of course, form does not have a U in there, so we'll go ahead and click on that. And then we'll go ahead and say the form is, and then High Level will load, and I'll see a list of all of the different forms I have inside of my High Level account here. So I'll go ahead and let's go ahead and just say TCP. I don't remember what that, oh yeah. So we'll go ahead and select that form, and then go ahead and click on Save Trigger. So anytime someone enters their name and email in that form, wherever the form is, because you can put forms anywhere. It could be on a landing page, it could be on your home page, on your contact page, wherever it is, right? So this is part of the, and apologies for the cut, the softbox thing just fell off the light. So we'll have weird lighting for the rest of the video. Here we go. So that does it for the first trigger. Totally apologize, lost my train of thought there. So let's go on and say we want to set up a sequence when someone makes a purchase. So we'll say purchase, and they actually call it order submitted. So we'll go ahead and say order submitted, and then we'll go ahead, say what the product is, and then we can choose what product. Right? So something that's also you'll notice with these workflows is it doesn't have to be one workflow per product or per form. You can add as many as you want. You can mix and match. I just like having one-to-one because it is easier to manage. So let's say I selected TCP for the form. So that would be Rev Alpha Canvas there. So we'll go ahead and click on Save Trigger. So now this workflow would start if someone purchased this product, Rev Alpha Canvas. And so that does it for the two most common. Then the third one is, let's say someone starts the checkout process, but then for whatever reason doesn't finish. Well, we would want to send a couple of emails saying, hey, you didn't finish your purchase. So go ahead and here's the reminder of the discount that's going to expire in 24 or 48 hours. Don't give people extra discounts when they don't complete the checkout. That's a bad way to go. But what is cool is if you're not quite sure what trigger or action or whatever else you're supposed to set up, you can always click on this workflow AI, just drop in your question here, and it does a really good job of figuring out what you should be looking for. And then it can actually start working with you to figure out how to set that up, because some of the features inside of High Level when it comes to cart abandonment, they're a little wonky when it comes to whether you're doing e-com or you're doing it through an invoice or creating a funnel. So it's not as straightforward as I initially thought it would be. And so if you want to do a cart abandonment sequences, definitely leverage the AI to set that up because it's a little more advanced. And so to wrap up with our final two triggers, it would be a tag and then of course Instagram or Facebook DMs. So quickly, if you're doing anything with Facebook or Instagram, you can just type in Facebook or Insta, and then you can go ahead and go from there. Definitely use the AI to figure out how to set those up if you want to build it from scratch. But again, as I showed you in the beginning, they have recipes and templates that are already set up. So you can just use those and then go ahead and move on. But I did want to show you, you can set up your own triggers if you want. You don't have to use the recipes for that. And then the final one is contact tag. And so tags is going to be our next section. And this is going to be how you organize your list. So pretty much anytime someone does something with you and your business, whether they submit a form, they make a purchase, they click a significant button, they fill out a survey, we want to tag them because we want to know what they've done. And so what you can also do is create a workflow. So like, let's say when someone is a canceled customer, right? So if they get the canceled customer tag, then we can go ahead and start this sequence. Or we could go ahead and say tag removed. And let's say maybe they're in a follow-up sequence and for whatever reason they say, hey, I'm not interested anymore, please take me off. And then we remove that follow-up tag and then we can start this workflow to maybe come back to them in 3 or 6 months and say, hey, I know you weren't interested then, but maybe you're interested now. Of course, if someone clicks unsubscribe, it's game over, right? So we wouldn't want to wait 6 months and try again if they actually clicked unsubscribe. But that does it for kind of the triggers. So that's how you start a workflow. Again, timestamps below to skip around. Comment below if you're getting lost or you have specific questions about yours. But that pretty much covers the main types of triggers that you would probably use to start your workflow. Now, whatever workflow you are creating, the very first step I recommend is adding a tag. And so this is going to be your first action. So I'm going to go ahead and click on tag here, add a tag. And when you are setting up your kind of system for the first time, there are 3 different tags you're going to want to use: prospect, lead, customer. If you do nothing else, use those 3. So for example, if you're creating a workflow for with Instagram or Facebook, as soon as someone comments, as soon as someone DMs you, tag them as a prospect. If you want to say prospect dash whatever the offer is, you could get more advanced like that. And then if someone ever enters their name and email on your website, you'd go ahead and tag them as a lead. So as an example here, you can see if form trigger is if the trigger is a form on a website, we'll go ahead and tag them as a warm lead. Now you can have warm to cold to hot, you can get really OCD, but that's not really important. Or if this was a workflow for a purchase, then I'd go ahead and do something like DK product launch kit customer, right? So if they purchase that product, then I want to tag them as a customer of that product. And so this is something that is so hard to go back and do retroactively. So that's why I'm telling you to do it now. So whatever type of workflow you're setting up, the very first step here should be some sort of tag. Prospect, lead, customer is the very basic. And of course, you can get more advanced from there. And of course, we've done all this work and we haven't actually really started the workflow. We haven't really done anything with the workflow. And so once we have the tag, then we can click here and we can actually start doing some actions. So we can send some emails, we can wait to send some emails, or we could go ahead and add or remove people from other workflows based upon what they've done in this workflow. So you can even set things up like to wait if they've clicked on an email or actually responded to a text message. It gets really crazy, really fast. So we'll just go ahead and keep it simple with an email because I know that's one of the number 1 questions. So I'll go ahead and click on send email here. So we'll go ahead and give our email a name. Then you need to do the from, who it's from. So you would just put in your full name, then the from email, and then the subject, and then you actually just type the email right here. So there is an ability to use your templates. So that'll be a video for a different day. But I recommend, unless you're doing something really fancy, just use plain text emails because those are going to be the most likely to not get into the spam box. I know a lot of people are concerned about being put in promotions. Look, Google is really smart. They know this is a promotional email. So anyone who's telling you, yeah, I'm going to get you in the normal inbox is probably lying. So just gonna put that out there. So don't freak out that you're getting put in promotions. People will still open your emails. And in fact, when you first send these emails, you're likely going to be put in promotions. That's okay. We just don't want to be put in spam. That's kind of the name of the game when you're starting. And then as people open your emails over time, they actually enjoy your email content because you're not spamming them with garbage emails, then Gmail will go, oh, this person actually does want to open these emails. And then you get to move to the normal inbox or the social inbox. But for the most part, you're going to be putting promotions right out of the gate because Google's smart. They know that this is a promotional email. So I see a lot of people obsess over that. And then there's, of course, some unscrupulous offers that charge you a lot of money that don't really get you out of that promotions inbox. So we go ahead and put our email here. I'll go ahead and click on save there. And now we have our email. Maybe we want to wait a day. So I'm just going to type on delay here. Delay, if I can spell it right. So we're going to say wait. Let's say wait 1 day. You can be advanced here. You can see like you can send it at a specific time if you want to get OCD. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to click on save action. And then we can go ahead and send another email here. So I can go ahead and click on send email, quickly fill in the information just for example purposes, and we're done. So when it comes to workflows, this probably covers 80 to 90% of what you would be doing with a workflow. Of course, there are lots of other more advanced things, but when it comes to you and your kind of creating digital products, booking clients, that basics of trigger to delay to send email pretty much has you covered. So at this point, I talked a lot longer than I thought I would. So I'm going to quickly go through the 2 sequences that I like using. And of course, when you check Go High Level via the 30-day free trial in the description, you do get both of these directly into your High Level account. You don't have to wait till you're a paying customer. We give you everything up front, even if you're still on the trial. So I just want to quickly show you what we do when someone first opts into our email list. So of course, we use the trigger complete form. Then we tag them as a lead, and then we send them an email that actually gives them a link to whatever lead magnet they asked for. And as you can see here, this is a template. So when you import this into your own account, you can see here, you can literally just copy paste this and say, hey, AI, redo this template for my offer, right? So we wanted to make it as simple as possible for you to get started. And then you can see here, we have a delay of 10 hours because we use 48-hour countdown timers on our offers. And then we send another email. And you can see here, we just have the template loaded up. And so these are the same templates I use. So when I create a new offer, all I have to do is copy and paste this template into AI, have it write for me. They actually have AI integrated right here. So you can actually copy all of this and then use the AI if you wanted to. And you can see here, I have another delay, and then they are sent another email, and we keep going until the end of the sequence. And then if they reach the end of the sequence, that means they didn't purchase. And so I end the sequence with adding a general broadcast list tag. So this lets me know they already went through the sequence, they didn't buy for whatever reason, they're on the general broadcast list. Now, of course, you might be wondering, okay, that's cool, but what happens if they buy an email number 3 here? We don't want to send them email 4 and 5. Great question, he said facetiously to himself. That's where the paid offer automation comes in. And so this is the other automation I like using. So we do trigger payment received. So when someone purchases the product, this starts. So we grant access to whatever the course is. Now, depending upon what funnel or e-com or invoicing you're using in High Level, they probably automatically got access to the offer anyway. You don't. But if you're combining, like, let's say a community and a product, you're going to need an automation to do like both at once, right? Communities doesn't integrate very well with the funnel side, which is a little annoying, but hopefully they work on that. But for now, we can just say grant access to offer, and then I can go ahead and select the whatever offers they should get access to based upon the payment. And then, of course, I can also grant access to community groups as well. So I'll go ahead and jump over here. Then we tag them as a customer, and then we remove them from the sequence I just showed you. Because the sequence I just showed you is, hey, you should buy this really cool thing, buy this cool thing, buy this cool thing. Oh, you bought this cool thing. All right, stop talking, right? So you do want to use this remove from workflow feature so that when someone purchases, that they don't keep getting the sales emails. And then I tag them as a broadcast, and then we can send them some welcome emails as well to make sure that they actually use the product. I think we have an email in here asking for a testimonial. High Level just actually released the ability to collect testimonials on the e-com side. So make sure you subscribe because that is definitely something we're going to be setting up. But when it comes to your automations and workflows, these two are probably the ones that you're going to start if you are doing digital products, courses, communities, or even coaching or consulting. And so hopefully that gives you a basic overview, and I do mean basic, of what you can do with workflows. Comment below if you feel like I missed anything, you have any questions. We definitely wanted to do our best with this video to just focus on the basics. And really a workflow it just starts with your trigger. You're going to tag. You're going to tag them. And then, of course, then you go through all your actions and automations. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely, you have a much better understanding of how workflows work. And make sure you check out that link at the top of the description, Go High Level's 30-day free trial via our link. And then, of course, you also get access to all of these workflows, all of our templates for courses and funnels, along with a private community site and live workflow calls to ask me questions as you build your own systems and processes. So until the next, keep building the business you love.